Hi everyone, it's Karen here. Welcome to another Monday video with me. So today I've got this dreamy night sky for you. I've got a background which we've created in Distress Oxides. I've got it in blues and purples. I've got some silhouette trees. I'm using 4 stamps here. The red pine set, that's the large one and the small one. I've got fairy fir tree 2 and fir tree. The stencil that I'm using is Words 2, and I've embossed it with white embossing powder and created some white splatters in the background. So I do hope you'll like it, and I hope you stay tuned. We'll get started. So here we are. I've got my A6 card, my stencil brushes in blue and purple, and my colours, Blueprint Sketch, Mermaid Lagoon, and in my purples I've got Shaded Lilac, Dusty Concord, and Villainous Potion. So we're going to start with the blues. I'm going to start with a lighter blue, and we're going to create the background. Just simply using my stencil brushes, dab, dab, dab into the ink onto my mat so that it's not too dark. I'm using a piece of acetate here to protect the rest of my card because my fingers, I've been working a lot this morning and my fingers are a bit mucky. I do keep some hand sanitizer close to me and I do use that, but I wouldn't want it to go all over this card. So circular motion, dab into the ink pad onto my mat, and we're not trying to create a solid block of colour here because the sky, as you know, made up of lots of different colours. So we're just going to keep going round in circles. That way we'll land up with some darker patches and some lighter patches and also some white card behind it. Okay, then I'm going to take Blueprint Sketch and do the same. You don't want to go over exactly the same areas because you want this lovely contrast between them. But at saying that, you will go over some areas as well. Now I'm just going to take it a bit more around the edge, giving us this little darker frame. There we go. Actually, I might just bring it down a little. Oops. That's why I always start on the edge. Because if you start on the edge, if you do go in too dark, it becomes part of your frame. That's a bit better, so that the blue is now about 2/3 of the way down the page. Okay, now we're going to go in with our purples. I'm just going to clean this mat. I just used water. And I'm going to pick up Shaded Lilac and do exactly the same along the bottom. So there's my Shaded Lilac. And now I'm going to go in with Dusty Concord. It's a slightly different shade and a bit more muted. So it gives us this lovely depth on top of the Shaded Lilac. So I'm bringing it up over the blue and the shaded lilac so that we're creating now this new colour, which is a blend between them both. Don't worry about this dark bit on the side. You'll see how we camouflage that later. There we go. So you're just going to keep up building up the colour until you're happy with what you've got. So as I said, we're going to be using Fir Tree, Fairy Fir Tree 2, and then our red pine set, and we get 2 stamps in that set. So using Nocturne, I'm going to build up the bottom of this card, starting with my Fairy Fir Tree 2. That's the taller one. And I'm going to pop that one there. Okay, so it didn't come out fully. I obviously didn't ink that up properly. No worries. We're able to camouflage that one. Right, so that is all for that one. Then we're going to go in with our Fir Tree, which is shorter and the branches are a little more widely spread. So you can see when we're building up backgrounds like this, you want different textures. So you see there's a gap between those branches, which there wasn't on the other one. Just adding interest. So I'm going to leave that one there. And then we're going to go in with our red pine stamps. Large first. And then we'll take the smaller one. So that's how we camouflage that little piece. And then we're just going to put a couple of these popping out from behind the others. Actually, I think I want another one of these ones. Fairy Fir Tree 2 in this gap. There you go. And I might just put one more, the taller one, on this left edge. Voila! I'll clean this up and my fingers before we do the embossing. So what you want to make sure before we do the next step is that this is completely dry. And so I just gave mine a quick blast with a heat gun because we don't want the embossing powder to stick other than where we put our word dream. So this is from the stencil set, words 2. And I'm just going to take my low tack tape, tape it down, and mask off the other words so that I don't pop it onto any other part of my card. And then I'm going to take my watermark ink pad, my embossing ink pad, which is slightly sticky, and I'm just going to tap it through the stencil. You don't want to press too hard, because if you do, it'll squelch out underneath the stencil and you won't get a nice crisp image. So I'm pressing down, applying a light pressure, and then picking it straight up. I'm not rubbing it or smushing it, because that's when you tend to get a bit of bleed. So I'm putting it down, applying a little pressure with my index finger. Voila. That's a good crisp image there. And then I'm going to take my white embossing powder . Over the top of that, and then I'm going to heat it . So there we have it, heated with a heat gun, beautifully embossed. And the last thing that we're going to do is create our splatters in the sky. And for that, I'm just going to take a piece of paper and literally just randomly create a mask. And then I'm going to take my white paint. I'm using this. You can buy it on the website. It's a thick, lovely, solid, thick white paint. And I'm just going to put a bit of water with it so that it, there we go. Perhaps a bit too much water, but we'll see how that goes. And I'm just going to create my splatters in the sky. So I'm just tapping. There you go, look at that. Just a couple at the bottom there. And there we have it, our dreamy sky. So thanks so much for joining me today. I do hope Thanks so much for joining me today. I'd love to see what you make. And if you want to see more of my work, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I do regular videos. And I'd love to see you there. Bye for now. I'm just going to do it again because that's too watery and I don't even know if they can see it. I think they can't. Yeah, that's better. So there we have it, heated with a heat gun, beautifully embossed. And the last thing that we're going to do is create our splatters in the sky. And for that, I'm just going to take a piece of paper and literally just randomly create a mask. And then I'm going to take my white paint. I'm using this. You can buy it on the website. It's a thick, lovely, solid, thick white paint. And I'm just going to put a bit of water with it so that it, there we go. Perhaps a bit too much water, but we'll see how that goes. And I'm just going to create my splatters in the sky. So I'm just tapping. There you go, look at that. Just a couple at the bottom there. So there we have it, our gorgeous dreamy night sky. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd love to see you there. Please tag me in your makes so that I don't miss them. And I'll be back again really soon. Bye for now.